Netflix has a crap ton of original shows, from the more popular ones like Stranger Things and BoJack Horseman to the lesser known ones like F is Family and Castlevania. Castlevania for one started off very promising with its 4-episode opening season. It had the main characters from the games, Trevor, Alucard, and Sypha, meet up and agree to work together to hunt and kill Dracula. It makes Dracula's scheme understandable and had perhaps the creepiest scene I've ever seen on television. Seriously, the scene where the monsters enter the church and call out the bishop for his BS, telling the bishop that God has abandoned him, was so unnerving, especially when one of the monsters kissed him. Still gives me the creeps. And then season 2 comes in with not just 4, but 8 episodes. It gives us more insight into the vampire community and introduces the cold, calculated Carmilla. She divides the vampires, turning Hector against Isaac and Dracula, and our heroes get greater character moments and character development, leading to an epic fight between them and Dracula's council of vampires, and then finally against Dracula himself. Biggest winner this season, though, was how it got me to come around to Sypha's character, who I didn't really like too much going into this season. And then there's season 3, and well, you know by the title of this video, I have my problems with it. Like, it's not entirely bad. In fact, it has one of the best plot lines in the entire show thus far, with Trevor and Sypha going against some satanic monks in the town of Lindenfeld. It introduces the eccentric Saint Germain, hints at the return of Dracula, and ends with one of the best fights in the show, and followed by the disturbing reveal that the judge of Lindenfeld was secretly killing the boys in his town, keeping their shoes in his closet as trophies. Ending their story in this dark, disturbing note really left me wanting to know what would happen next to the characters and how that reveal affected them, especially Sypha. This is something I can't really say for characters in other subplots. Isaac's story was interesting as he is going about building his army of monsters with the goal of exterminating humanity as well as getting revenge on Hector. Unfortunately, though, his story this season was meant solely to build up to next season. By not having any real payoff of this season, I couldn't help but feel like skipping his scenes and going back to those about Trevor and Sypha. I felt the same way about Hector's story this season, which is a real shame because Carmilla is one of the best parts of season 2. I cannot help but feel that she was criminally underused here. Sure, Lenore was an alright character and her slow manipulation of Hector was pretty cool to see, but at the end of the season, Hector's situation had hardly changed since the start. He began this season as Carmilla's prisoner and ended it being forced to remain so. His story the entire season reminds me of that episode of Star Wars The Clone Wars where Ahsoka, Trace, and Rafa escape the prison just to be captured again at the end of the episode, that meaning that they accomplished nothing in that entire 22-minute episode. It seems like they have plans for him, but not until Isaac arrives there, or until Trevor and Sypha finish their adventures. So they're just keeping him around just so the viewer doesn't forget about him. At least that's the way I saw it. So Trevor and Sypha had a great story, while Isaac and Hector's stories were, while not without merit, quite lacking. This isn't too bad though, isn't it? Well, I haven't talked about Alucard's story yet. The basis of his story is that his solitude, compounded by the fact his mother was slaughtered and he had to murder his own father, is causing him to lose his mind. This is such an interesting plot point, which makes their execution of it all the more disappointing. So these 2 Japanese vampire hunters arrive, right? Hoping to learn from Alucard how to kill the vampires plaguing their nation. He agrees, finally bringing purpose and companionship to his life. It's clear throughout this, though, that he is in a different mental state than he was before, and even has plushies of Trevor and Sypha in his house, which is quite strange. So, Alucard spends the season getting to know these 2 Japanese warriors who slowly come to suspect he's hiding things from them. However, as these 2 discuss this, an entire scene dedicated solely to this one conversation, they write it off as him being lonely and decide to find a way to return the favor to him for all their training and knowledge he has given them. They say that it is unfair that the man who saved the world from Dracula is forced to live in such seclusion from the world he saved. Thus, after dinner, these 2 enter his bedroom and, well, I guess since there's 2 of them, they technically double, This is where things go from being somewhat promising, though, to utterly disappointing. In the middle of their you-knowing, the duo turn on Alucard and tie him up, then go to kill him because they think he's hiding the truth from them. This makes absolutely no sense following their previous conversation. It would be one thing if they said those things in front of Alucard, but no. The conversation was in private, meaning that their betrayal of Alucard contradicts their own beliefs, making this plot development me feel so out of place. And in my opinion, the worst scene in the entire series. And even worse, they slipped this into a montage that also included the scene where Lenore was finally about to outsmart Hector, and one of the epic fights near the finale of the Lindenfeld arc. So not only is it an awful scene, but they lace it into the climaxes of other stories, making them far less enjoyable. And given these are the scenes that the entire season had been building up to, the payoff of those stories was considerably worse than it could have been. Like, imagine taking the end of The Mandalorian Season 2, right? And lacing that with whatever foolish shenanigans Jar Jar was up to in that moment. That's what this felt like. So the season only has one legitimately exciting storyline, while two of them were meh, and perhaps the most promising of all of them was executed so insanely poorly at the end. Thus this season, while not without merit, was extremely disappointing overall, and honestly, it kinda killed my excitement for the show moving forward. Maybe when Season 4 comes out I'll watch, but I can't say I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, that's going to be it for this video. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. Have a good day, and I'll see you next time.